I've been working on some file aid code and that I had worked on some time ago, and without knowing the flow or which components are in play during a particular execution, you're struggling. You're spending a lot of time looking at source, trying to figure out what's important, what the flow is. Or you're manually setting breakpoints with a debugging tool, but that's all text driven. You're not being able to visualize it. I was encouraged from talking to some senior people that it would be a good idea to go into Chris O'Malley's office, the CEO of the company, and have a conversation with him about it. I also wanted to see if it addressed the problem that he kept bringing up in many of his talks about the knowledge transfer, the retiring generation, and the need to transfer knowledge. And I thought this product could address that by making it easier to understand codes you're not familiar with.
Gary came in, it was a few days after the 4th of July weekend, and it was initiated, I think, by my town halls, where I'd got out to the broader audience of Compuware to encourage them to bring forward ideas that would be a helpful part of the innovation process we were trying to bring to the market and to our customers.
I had prepared the document from the product console template.
So he came in all excited, pumped up. He got me very excited about the idea. Gary's idea clearly fit into what we've promised with the Topaz brand.
I know he liked it because he wanted to reschedule a product council meeting that wasn't going to happen for a couple of more weeks, and he wanted me to present it to the product council the very next morning.
Well, there was an urgency on my part because I did see it as a defining moment for the company. As a leader, you know, every once in a great while, circumstances come together that allow you to kind of redefine who we are as a company and who we are as a culture. And you know, I saw in Gary a man who was extremely excited and somebody that wanted to make a difference for the firm. I saw the idea as being valuable.
When I presented him the document in his office the night before, I had told him, if you put the right people on this project, I think we can have something January 1st. And this is July 8th when I'm having this conversation. And I go into the product council meeting, and he's talking with Mike Zinda, one of the vice presidents, and they're talking about October 1st. I'm going, oh, he must have misread my document. But no, they wanted it October 1st.
What I saw is that it really met a need. That we really have people that are working with these applications. I talk to customers all the time. Those are key components of the business. And those people who know them, they're going away. And so it's one thing to train someone on COBOL or the mainframe environment, but the application knowledge that's what they need.
It was presented to us as this idea that really sort of changed the way people could take a look at legacy applications, applications that run on the mainframe, but do that in a way that really fit sort of the new age tactics for how people want to view information. And that's with a heavy degree of visualization factored in. So the opportunity as described was really the way to take a look at something in a new way, in a way that people are common or feel comfortable looking at information today, and to do that with applications and information that really has never been viewed in that type of format in the past.
The product console template, that's actually a page on Confluence, which is the software we use to collaborate with the entire company. And people started commenting on the idea right away, like day one. And over the course of the next few days, a couple of dozen people commented, and there were over 100 comments and ideas and refining the original idea. So it was great to see that reaction. It was very positive.
I can think it's a great idea, other people can, but we really need to go in and find out across the board, several different customers, people really doing their job, does it have merit? It was really the next day I had a simple prototype, and then that was something where we went out and reached out to 5 customers located around the globe, and we went and showed them the prototype and talked to them, and we even got one customer to contribute some data that we could use to make an example of their own application and then put it back to them, and so they could show it to people.
The product management team came in and presented, Gary's awesome idea, and the customers at the Customer Advisory Council had the ability to spend dollars, we presented 4 or 5 technology innovation ideas. And ironically, Gary's awesome idea got all the money. So this one large financial institution that I was sitting next to said, we absolutely need this because we've got applications that no one has touched in years and we have no documentation on it. Now we can get logic traces, we can have that map of how that program executes.
At the end of that meeting, when we decided it was a go and we were going to develop this product, Chris, the CEO, said, internally, I want this known as Gary's idea.
I always called it Gary's awesome idea because it was, and I think it represented to the company as kind of a defining moment that an individual can bring an awesome idea forward, that the entire company can embrace it, and that we can see it through to their delivery.
So we're an Agile company, and part of Agile is getting customer feedback. And we got customer feedback on Gary's idea, and we also had customer feedback on other ideas that we were planning for October and for January. And some of the ideas we were planning for October, our customers were not excited about. And they thought they should be done differently, but they all loved Gary's idea. Just like internally, externally, all our customers liked it. And suddenly, because we were Agile, it was decided that this is the thing we had to deliver for October 1st. So it became our focus for October 1st.
We had to quickly re-rack what the planned deliverable for October was and determine a new minimum viable product in a shorter time frame. At that point, we brought in additional resources and ramped up and just moved to get it done.
So we took some very senior developers who had a lot of experience with the technology behind the scenes, and we took some of our less experienced developers with a month or two with the company in some cases to put a team together that would be able to give input from all directions and different perspectives to be able to make it a very successful project. When you mix those type of people, there's always a concern because there's differences. And they have to get adjusted to each other and accustomed to how they're working. And quite honestly, I knew we didn't have time for that normal let's get acquainted adjustment period. It's dive in and get to work.
So my role in really bringing the idea to market was I did a lot of the API for Gary's idea from the Expediter CICS side. So I worked really closely with Judy on the really back-end stuff, and then I did a lot of the work with the distributed guys as well. So I did XML and all of the communications between the two different sides, so the mainframe and Windows.
My role was to try to provide the basic information to Noah so he could pick up what he needed to send it over. And we had to figure out where all the calls were being done.
When I first heard about it, I was excited just because it was something that you could use to visualize how something works when you have no idea. It makes it easier to have a starting point at least. So yeah, I definitely could see anyone who's got, say, a program that's been just sitting, being run over and over and over, and nobody knows what it does or how it works, just throwing that in there and getting some sort of an image to give them a starting point, if not giving them the answer they were looking for.
When I saw the entire wish list, I thought there's no way we can do that in one quarter, but we could pick out enough to make it really useful for both the junior developers, or the new millennium developers, as Chris likes to say, but also, mid and senior level developers. So I had to design the data model, the data that was passed back and forth. I took the vision of the usability designer, and there was a little prototype that was shown early on in this. I had to take his vision, and I also had to take the to-do list or the features from Gary's original idea and map it into something that we could deliver in this time frame. We're all part of the same team. So the camaraderie, the communication, a lot of those barriers go down when you're all working the same way and you all have to deliver something every 2 weeks. When we work together that way, we could all talk about, every day you're standing up in the scrum saying, here's what I worked on yesterday, here's what I'm going to work on today. You know, and they would say, oh, I'm working on this piece of XML. I'm like, great, that fits right in with what I need for the data model. Let's have another little meeting and hash that out.
Typically, my day job is file aids architect, but since I was now working on a different product, a new product that had nothing to do with file aid, my role changed. David Rizzo, the director of software development, gave me the liberty to spend some time, and I became sort of a pseudo product owner. Mark Schettenhelm was the official product owner, but we worked together to help decide what we were going to put into the first version of the product.
Trying to do a very large development project for something significant in 84 days does have challenges. You know, I'd love to say it just went perfectly and all is planned, but that never happens. But I think as part of the Agile, that's where you are Agile. When you get that problem, you discover it up front and you respond to it. So we had things that were estimated to be somewhat difficult that proved to be easy. Other things we assumed would be really easy became really hard. And it really led up to work right down to the end because of that. But even in then, there we were able to bring in other people to go in and assist.
It took a couple negotiation sessions to finally get the team oriented around, look, software development is kind of like building Legos, right? You got, we're building a house. You have to get this in place before you can get that in place, before you can get that in place, before you can get to this really cool feature.
We have a very good process in place to come up with ideas, put them through our internal product council, put them through with customers, and get all that done. And we did not cut any corners on our process. We did every step. We just did it very rapidly. And the same with the development process. We went through our regular development, we did all of our testing, we delivered a quality product.
The process really helped with just how quickly things changed, because like Judy was saying earlier, we'd have just those nights when all of a sudden everything would just either die or everything would get better, and the next morning you could come in and just say, okay guys, this changed completely and we need to test this in a totally different way.
This could have easily been one of those where management came down and said, get this done and I don't care how long you have to work and blah, 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 blah. No, it was, here's the idea, go for it. Tell us what you can do, right? So resist the urge to work around the process when something goes wrong. Make it safe for people to make mistakes. Because it doesn't do anybody any good if when they come to the daily scrum, everything's great, everything's great, everything's great. Oops, I missed my deadline.
Working together was a huge asset, especially how closely we worked together, where it was like me standing over Judy's shoulder watching everything she did, so that way if I had to go back and do something, I could copy what she did at least as far as debugging practices, and then just having another set of eyes at any given time is a wonderful benefit to working so closely with someone else. And up until this point, I'd never really worked that closely on a project with anyone. With this, it was like a rolling code review and rolling tests where Judy would finish something, and as soon as she was done, I'd be running back to my desk to test it, and run back, this is what happened, it was a failure, or we actually did it, and then we celebrate, and then we break it again. But I mean, that was the fun part of it.
I had fun. It's always great. You build something that's really cool, and then when you do the demos and you're, people going, wow, that's really useful. Can I have it? It's always a good feeling.
So it was everything at once, and I mean, it was, for me, that's the best way for me to learn. So, I mean, I was super happy with everything that we had and all the experience that I could just absorb, even if it was painful at times.
So if Gary had brought this idea on in July of 2014, and the process we were using in July of 2014, we would be looking at thinking about doing Gary's idea in January of 2016 to start the process of going to talk to customers with an anticipation that we might deliver it sometime in 2017. That's how our old process would have put this through.
Something like this looks really big and it gets scary and you think, wow, that's really a lot of work. What we were able to do is break it down into small tasks. And so it might be, right click and do this, chart this. by breaking into small tasks and distributing that work to different people, they would all do their task and it would all fit together. That made us put this out a lot faster.
One of the things that was frustrating with waterfall development was product management would ask for a lot of things, and then development would go off and try to estimate, design, try to figure out what it's going to take to create this. And then because there was so much, we would end up only doing maybe 15 to 25% of what product management asked for. It's great to have something out the door, something that customers can be using today rather than waiting for the perfect solution.
One of the biggest frustrations that we have in the sales world is customers have needs. And we as an advocate for our customer feel responsible to do everything that we can to bring those needs to fruition. In our shift to Agile development, what Compuware has allowed us to do is to be more responsive to our customers' wants and needs.
Everyone wants to be agile, but without really proper guidance or the experience, you can easily end up back in the waterfall process. It just feels faster in general because you're developing at the same speed and you don't have these roadblocks put in your way that say, well, you just can't do it because you're on the mainframe. And that's just basically a mental roadblock that's being put there by whoever says it's slower. It's just another platform.
So our large customers will use Runtime Visualizer in a way that first off focuses on the health and welfare of the existing mainframe applications that they have today. So there are really no tools out there that really allow you to dig in and understand what exactly comprises that application and what's been built into it over the last 20 to 30 years. So the first opportunity is really to take a hard look at those applications and understand, have they been constructed in the most efficient and effective manners? The second real opportunity for our customers is to basically enable them to work with those legacy applications in a way that fits the new age of application development that they're engaged in today.
It really gives them the confidence levels that now they can see and they can document some of these transactions and these programs that they never had the capabilities to do before. So it kind of removes that apathy that they had on the mainframe.
And when you think about today's world where you have cross-platform applications that start in the mobile world that move all the way through to the mainframe and then back again, your ability to use resources who can operate in an efficient and effective manner while not bringing an inherent amount of risk to what they touch, that is where customers have said they see tremendous value in terms of working with technologies like Runtime Visualizer.
To be able to do what we did in the time that we did it, I mean, for a mainframe company is outrageous, but for any software company is, to be honest, outrageous. I knew that what we were trying to do is ambitious, and Gary, in thinking that it would be a huge leap to do it by January 1st, seeing the expression on his face when I said, no, I want it done October 1st, I got a sense that this was not going to be a small effort. And I think what the three things are that really got to come together is you got to have a culture of innovation, where people believe in a vision for the future. So there's got to be a culture that supports the idea of the company working collectively as a group towards that end. Because I'm sure you've seen through the dialogue we've had with many of the people from Compuware about what was done, how many people had to be involved in the interdependencies in order to make it happen. So it starts with that innovative culture. The second thing is you need a strategy and a framework by which you need to work. We had to have processes like Agile and Scrum and sprints, not done by some of the people in the organization, but all of the people in the organization in order to basically get the work done. And then lastly, it's the tool set. It's how we do things. But when you get the company so energized with a single culture, a single strategy, a single how and to do these efforts, people figure out how to get this effort home and actually deliver to market. Those things are going to change the mainframe in a tectonic way that it hasn't probably changed in 2 decades.